Oh, okay.
I'm running behind, but on my way. That's better than I'm running away on my behind, I guess.
True, true.
What is he driving to the Zoom studio? What's
So, welcome back, everyone, to an almost perfect podcast. I am John, and it is a full house today. We haven't had this many people in a while, Tom. And it's been a while. It's just been you and me. And yeah, I was getting tired of that, quite frankly. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. Tom, how are you this morning, brother?
I'm doing well. I've had a good weekend. Saw you yesterday morning. Gave me plenty of food to our food for thought. There we go.
Okay. Well, if you'd have showed up early, we would have given you food as well. Food for stomach, food for consumption.
Yeah, breakfast.
Yeah. So, but that's all right. You do you, Tom. That's all right. And I'm John. Tom's here, and Tom, we have an old friend with us, Mr. Wade. Wade, how you doing, brother?
Hello. I am well, thank you. I have been up all night.
Up all night.
I'm the vampire chaplain at Methodist Hospital. So
Oh, okay.
yeah. So I
Yeah.
got off. I got off at 7:30 this morning. So I'll go take a nap after this.
7:30. Well, we'll talk in double time. That way we can get done quicker and you can get that nap.
It's all good. It's all good.
It's good. Good to see you again, man. Glad you're
It's
here.
good to be with you.
It's
fun.
been a while.
Feels familiar.
Yeah. You started with us at first when, Tom and we did the first couple, I think, by ourselves, and Wade was like, I don't know about that. I don't know if I want to. Yeah. And then he got hooked. And then, we had to beg him to leave. That's how I remember that going down.
I remember it too.
Yes. Wade, you want to tell us who else is here this morning, please?
This is Jeana Martin, the Right Reverend Jeana Martin, and she is a Camino professional, and among other things. Yeah.
Camino professional. Okay, not like El Camino, like the car.
We haven't. I don't think you don't have El Camino, do you?
No.
No. I still look for those cars, by the way.
I think they're cool. I don't think they're very practical, but they're pretty cool.
They're not practical, but they're cool. And every once in a while, I'll see one around town. Like, oh man, I would drive it. But yeah, anyway. So Jeana, welcome.
Before you, in the 90s, Ellen and I were living in Russia and I did see an El Camino in the Russian Far East. So it was kind of a shock.
That's cool.
This is the cool car, cool concept.
It is.
I was watching some show with what's his name? The Fonz, Henry Winkler. He's like looking at all the stuff from the history of the United States, like goofy stuff, like how we used to do medicine and crazy sports way back when. And he was talking about I forgot where I was going with that.
El Camino.
We were talking about El Caminos.
But I don't remember why I was going to talk about the fonts. I'm sorry.
Did he talk about cars?
I guess. I don't.
Okay.
When it popped in my mind, I thought, it went. So, Jeana, welcome to the show. So glad you're here. Thank you for being willing to put up with us for a little while. I'm using my iPad, so I'm sorry. Every once in a while, I keep doing this. My apologies. I know this is what you really want to see, Wade. This is what you're here for. I know, and so I don't want to be giving you any of that. Okay, I'm sorry.
I already got screenshots, so I can put them on my
wall. Tom, you got any stories this week?
Yeah, of course. I was thinking, what I was gonna. I don't know if it's going to go viral or went viral or anything like that, but I do know I gave both dugouts a pretty good laugh when one of the Hooks players hit a home run. I mean, it zipped out there, and you can see as it goes over the field, you can see this old man kind of reaching and then stumbling as it goes over my glove. And somebody later the next day was talking about how all the guys were laughing, and I would have laughed if I'd have seen it. So
Top 10 not plays. Is that they still
Yeah,
do
the top
that?
10 not plays. Yeah.
Okay.
It was one of many efforts at trying to get a home run ball, but I'm 0 for I don't know how many, five. I don't know. I've lost count from this week.
Uh, I don't know if you guys know, Tom's been doing some renewed writing, and he's writing around the Hooks baseball season. So it'd be fun to see how that unfolds throughout the year and everything.
That's
So
cool.
yeah, I have a story for you guys. I don't know if you saw this over the weekend, but this is out of Beijing. In a race between humans and
Oh,
robots, machines take the victory in a sign of advancements. Last year's half marathon in Beijing ended in humiliation for the machines racing against human competitors. This year, dun dun dun, things were very different. A Chinese humanoid named Lightning won a half marathon. And apparently, I think if I read correctly, he won by, let's see, he finished it in just 50 minutes and 26 seconds. 13-mile
Whoa.
race.
wow.
13-mile race in 50 minutes and 26 seconds. There were, it says, a bunch of these humanoids that were actually racing, and they had separate lanes, the humanoid lane and the human lane. And apparently there were a bunch of these. And I think if I read correctly, I think spot one, two, and three went to the humanoids,
Wow.
which is better than last year because a lot of them, and even this year, a lot of them had trouble. They fell down, or even the one who won, he ran into a wall towards the very end. He had to be redirected, helped a little bit. But I mean, where are we going with all this, man?
See, and he's so far ahead that he could smoke a cigarette and drink a beer. But so, so it just pays to be human because they can't do that.
Yeah, what's the point of having all that extra time if you're not going to enjoy it, right?
Yeah.
Did the humanoids train for this, or did they just turn them on and set them loose?
So it says that some of them were. This one in particular is autonomous. Others were controlled by someone. But apparently, yeah, I guess I don't know how that works. I've never been around a humanoid. You're the closest thing I have, Wade. So I don't know. Maybe humanoids fill the pulpits next. How much? How
Could
much?
happen.
How much?
Based on their AI sermon.
Yeah, yeah. You think their sermon would be shorter than ours?
If you asked it to be.
Oh yeah, I just I'm reading that and I'm thinking, man, this feels so like everything we've seen in the movies, right? It's like how it starts, and pretty soon, yeah, they're gonna smoke us in a race, and then they're gonna be looking back at and taunting us, and then it's gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad eventually, but in the meantime, it's kind of cool. If you see them run, I feel validated because I saw these things run, and they look like I run the way I
I
look when
thought
I run.
I thought it was interesting that there's a Chinese humanoid named Lightning.
Lightning, yes, lightning. They went with lightning. I couldn't pronounce last year's robot that they talked about, but lightning. Yeah,
That's probably why they named it because they knew you were going to do this.
yeah.
And by the way, I think this is one of the few times you brought a news item that I've actually read as well. It's like I don't know
Oh,
where you get them, but
oh
this one
man,
I read this morning.
So
Tom.
you started reading.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
read by ear.
I'm disappointed in myself. If Tom's already seen this story, I mean, what am I even doing?
Oh man,
Yeah.
it's a,
What? I don't deserve the internet, I guess.
I'm, I'm picking up on your vibes. I'm learning from the master.
Okay. Very good. Very good. All right. So Wade is here, not just because he loves us so much, although he said he did. He's here. He's got just a few weeks, I think, before he is going to do something pretty cool, and he's here to talk about that. Jeana's here to talk about that as well, and talk about what that is. And so I'm going to let you, Wade, kind of introduce that and kind of get us going before we kind of jump in and start asking some more questions. If you don't mind, please, sir.
Oh, okay, so long story short, you guys were around Corpus Christi with me in
Those
2019.
were the days.
Those were the days. This was before the pandemic,
Uh-huh.
and I was a little heavier than I am now, and I wasn't in great health, and I had a friend of mine who had walked the Camino several times, and he would just tell me about it. He wasn't trying to sell me on it, but I decided to that I needed to lose about 100 and something pounds, and I had some surgery, and I started losing that weight. And my surgeon said, "You need to set some goals." And so I went and got a couple of whiteboards, and I had professional goals and personal goals. And the first thing I wrote down, because my friend Dave had been talking about it, is I want to walk the Camino de Santiago. I didn't quite know what that would mean for me, but I wrote it down, and um, fast forward, there was a period of time in 2022 where I stepped out of ministry for a little while, and I knew that I needed something in between ministry and what was next. And I had heard about Jeana Martin and her Camino, that she was leading groups on the Camino through her practice called Pilgrims on a Journey. People out on the Camino are called pilgrims, and that's not the only place that we use that language, but that's one place. And so I don't remember if I emailed or called first, but I talked to Jeana and said, "Hey, I want to go do this," and and I'm glad that she was there, because I think I would have probably freaked out trying to be an American alone in Spain, trying to figure all this stuff out. And
So
and
wait a minute.
so, yeah,
Hold on
go
one
ahead.
second. So like
Yeah.
we always invite people to a walk to Emmaus, and they're like, "Oh, I don't have to walk." No, you don't have to walk. So this is walk to the Camino, but you don't really have to walk, do you?
Well, yeah, yeah. Well, you don't have to. You can, I guess you don't have to, but that's
So,
kind of the
so
idea. It's
don't
a
compare this to the walk to Emmaus. You are going to walk.
Yeah. No, this is walking. It's just walking pilgrimage. And there are a whole bunch of different routes all throughout Spain and Europe, that join together, and eventually most of them culminate in a city in the northwest part of Spain called Santiago de Compostela. Santiago is St. James, right? And and I bet Jeana knows the history better than I do, but I love the name of the town because it's Santiago de Compostela, which means St. James under a field of stars. And so it's walking pilgrimage that's been going on for over 1,000 years, and so it's a place where people come for many different reasons, and it's very you end up meeting people that you've never met before, and you may not see again, but you have lifelong friends. And so I'm getting ready in 23 days to begin walking the 800-kilometer French route. I'll start in a little town in France called Saint Jean Pied de Port, and the first 2 days will be up and over the Pyrenees Mountains and into Spain, and then I'll walk about, well, the equivalent of about a little more than right around 500 miles into Santiago, and Jeana will tell you about her part in that as well. But I'm gonna join her group for the last several days. So
So,
that's
so
that's what's up.
the question, Wade, is you've walked this before. How many days did you walk the last time? Which is the only other time you walked it, right?
Now I've actually walked 3 times with Gina's groups,
Okay,
um,
so
and
this will be
and
the fourth.
this will be the fourth. Yeah, and I'll be joining her in a city called a little town actually called Saria, and that's where most of her, not all of her pilgrimages start, but most of them up to now have. And that's about, Jeana. We usually do 8, 9, 10 days. I can't ever remember.
Yeah, so those groups from Saria are together for 10 days and we walk for 8 of those days.
Okay. So,
Okay.
so Jeana, Wade mentioned Pilgrims on a Journey. Talk about
Hold it
that.
just a minute. He did
Oh, I'm
not
sorry.
answer my question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Is
Answer the man's question.
how long did your longest journey lasted how many days and was how far?
Well, actually, the first one that we did, the group was scheduled to leave out of Saria, so it was going to be the same distance as, which is about 115 kilometers. However, um, Gina was going early with her mom, and she said, "Hey, we're going to go and go backward a couple of days. Was it 2 days or 3 days backward?"
Three.
Yeah, and she said, "If you can come and join us for that if you want." And I decided to, and here's the reason why. I wanted to travel with people that already knew what they were doing, and so I didn't want to have to be navigating airports and planes, trains, and automobiles by myself. So we actually walked from a little teeny place called Fonfria, which was up high in the Spanish mountains. It wasn't the highest place, but it was the sweetest little place, and the walk into Saria was one of my favorite parts of all the walks that I've done. So 150 kilometers is the most I've walked.
And
But
how many days?
that was 13 days, was it, Gina,
13
or
days.
12?
Yeah, it was 11
11.
walking days and 13 days altogether.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then, Jen, talk about Pilgrims on a Journey and how you're connected to all this. How, what is this to you, and kind of go from there,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah, so Pilgrims on a Journey. I also, like Wade was describing, I moved out of local church ministry
Mhm.
in at the end of June 2020, and I'm also a licensed professional counselor. And so I started, and I knew that pilgrimage was going to be part of that. I had led one in the fall of 2019 after I had walked the same long route that Wade's going to walk starting next month. And pandemic, we shut down, and so that was something during the pandemic that kept me going. Was someday I'm going to get to lead a second group on the
Mhm.
Camino. And so that I set something up for, I had June 2020, and then we all know what happened. 2021, I thought, okay, we're going to be able to do this. Okay, Matt's still not super safe to travel overseas. So I thought 2022, that was the first one that Wade went on. It was my first group after the pandemic. And I thought it would maybe be, like a once a year, once every couple of years part of the ministry that I was doing with Pilgrims on a Journey. And then it started to kind of grow from there. Like that very first group that I led in 2019, it was me and two other people. When Wade went the first time in 2022, it was four of us. 2024 or no, sorry, 23 there were 8, and then 12, and 15 is about the max that I'll take, unless it's like a college group or there's other people kind of helping to lead as well. And it was just something that when I was getting ready to leave the local church and go to extension ministry, I knew that pilgrimage and leading groups was going to be a part of it, but I didn't know how until I was walking on the Camino. It was like my third or fourth walking day. We were leaving Pamplona, and this was when I walked the long route like Wade's about to do the first time. And I was talking with this Canadian woman, and I said, I'm trying to figure out what I want to name this ministry, whatever that is next, right? And I said, I want it to have something to do with pilgrimage or pilgrims, labyrinth, because I love walking different labyrinths too. Um, and we're walking through the old city of Pamplona. Like it takes a long time to exit Pamplona, like many, many, many kilometers. And we got real quiet. And then I paused. I said, "Oh, do you know this song, Pilgrims on a Journey?" And she started singing that verse, "We are pilgrims on a journey." And I was like, "Oh, you know this song." And it was just this really magical moment. And I was like, that's what I'm gonna name whatever is gonna come next. And and
That's awesome.
so yeah, it just started to kind of take shape. And then more people kept wanting to walk the Camino, but they didn't want to go on a really long route by themselves. They wanted that contemplative community to kind of hold what they were doing as they're walking. And so that part of what the ministry I'm doing now, the pilgrimage leading, leading Camino groups, is very much contemplative. It's not just like, hey, let's go walk the Camino. There's preparation before. We have some gatherings online so people get to know one another. I help them, hey, pack these things so that they're not bringing, 3 suitcases and have too much
Sure.
stuff. But there is that spiritual formation piece of it as well. That's, I think, that's grown for me, even like leading these groups. That's been a piece that I've continued to grow in.
Okay. And how often do you do these yourself?
Yeah. Well, it started as once a year. Um, so 22, 23, it was once a year. And then
Mhm.
I had a colleague of ours reach out, Russell Miller. He's serving as a chaplain at McMurray. And he said, hey, we want to take a group of college students. And so we started planning for May of 2024. And it was a group of, I think there were 22 of us. So 6 sponsors, including myself, and then I don't know what, 18 college students. Maybe there were, I don't know. We had a big group. So in
Sure.
24, it was 2 groups. And then in 25, I had one group. And 26, I just got back last month from leading a group with 2 Iowa United Methodist churches. And then I'll go again in June. And then I'll go again on a new route on the Portuguese Camino in September. So this year it's 3. I probably won't do more than 3. That's a lot.
Yeah, it
So
sounds like a lot.
especially with
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
and one of the things I'm curious about is what does a day on the Camino look like? I know first of all, it's the word pilgrim suggests you're moving towards something or
Mhm.
you're journeying
Mhm.
together. So I'm curious as to what a day with you would look like.
Yeah. So a walking day, we usually get up fairly early. My hope is to eat breakfast around 7. So that's usually the target for eating breakfast. We bring all our stuff down because everybody carries a day pack. We're not carrying like our big, heavier piece of luggage that gets
Mhm.
sent forward every day. So that makes it more accessible, I think, for more people. We have breakfast together as a group. Final bathroom stop, really important as you're getting ready to go walk many, many kilometers during the day. Um, then we usually have some kind of reading, a scripture, a prayer, a poem, something to kind of help us focus our day. And each day, kind of, sometimes I have a theme for the day, or I'll ask a question to go along with that reading. And then the first 2.5 days, we actually walk together as a group. So I tell people, hey, if you can't see me, you've maybe gone too far, like if they're a faster walker or something. Because we stop and we try to kind of get into the rhythm of the Camino. So you want to make sure you're stopping a lot, um, drinking enough water, eating enough food, because you need to do even more of that than you would, when you're at home, because you're just walking for hours on end. We take breaks. We have lunch usually on the trail on most of the days. My hope is when we're walking that we get there, if it's a shorter day, that we maybe arrive by like 1 or 2. A couple of the days are about, 18 kilometers, 19 kilometers. And so that day may take a little bit longer, but usually I want us to arrive at some point during this siesta, because siesta in Spain is very, very important.
Sure.
It's important to the people there, but it's important to the pilgrims as well, and to be able to get some rest. And then we have, depending on what time we arrive, you shower. Your luggage is waiting for you when you get to the place that we're staying. And we stay in like hotels, like small hotels and rural guest houses as well. And I've gotten to know quite a few of the people who own those places along the route too. So like, you know, hey, there's people, there's connections that
Sure.
have been
That's
made
great.
as well. And then we have dinner all together, usually somewhere between 7 and 8. The Spaniards usually don't eat until about 9, 10 o'clock at night, but we try to eat as early as possible because you're really tired, obviously, after you walk, 12 kilometers, 19 kilometers, depending on the day. And you do not go hungry. Like in Spain, as in many European countries, dinner is kind of an event. It's not, okay, we're going to eat in 20 minutes and be done.
Right.
We have a first course and then a second course and then a dessert as well. And so, yeah, you're never going to go hungry on the Camino. And that meal time is really important to kind of process the day. I ask people not to have their cell phones at the meal, so that we can engage in conversation, especially as the group. When we get farther into the pilgrimage, people are invited to either walk in smaller groups or walk on their own. And so, like Tom, if you were going, you might see one thing that, and John might have seen something completely different or encountered somebody. And so the dinner is really a place for us to share those stories of the day or what was hard. I ask people, how are your feet doing? Because that's a super
Hmm.
important part
Oh yeah,
of the pilgrimage. Yeah, is, you know, and that's part of the reason we walk together for the first 2.5 days is there's some things I would like to show the group, but also it helps me as the pilgrimage leader to know if people are going to be faster, slower, and it's not a race. So it's just to kind of know what people's paces are and also to
Sure.
help people really take care of their feet because yeah, that was a very long answer to your question,
No,
Tom.
that's
but
good. And
no,
I
it's
think what you've done, you've helped me. I think now that's how I'm going to start greeting Tom. Tom, how are your feet?
That's awesome.
so you're putting everything in kilometers, but
Yeah.
Mhm.
a long day would be how far in the American mind?
Um, okay, in miles. So let's say we did a 20-kilometer day, and I do not do days over 20 kilometers ever. Like they're really that's a hard day. So 19. So but let's just do 20. So that would be like what
About 13 miles.
Almost
6.2
almost 13 miles. Yeah.
Yeah,
what
6.6. So it'd be a
six
little
point
over 13.
well 5 kilometers is 3.1. So it would
3.1.
be yeah 3.1 times 4, not a math
Yeah,
It'd be
person.
because I
yeah.
thought a
It'd be
10K
That's
was
that's that's
6.6. But
six
either
point
way,
two.
6.2.
yeah,
10K
it's
Okay.
six
6.2.
point
Yeah.
two. Yeah.
Well,
So
see,
it would be
Tom,
about 12, almost 12 and a half miles, basically, if you were
Well,
doing 20K. So we always do a little bit under that on those long days.
well,
Now
see, I've always
good.
avoided 10Ks because I'm not going to go 6.5 miles. But now that I found out it's 6.2 miles,
There you
maybe.
go.
Yeah.
Easy peasy.
That's awesome.
well, that's been the good thing I've seen about Wade and all this. When he was talking, he's bilingual now. He speaks in kilometers. He he didn't do that before. Jeana, a while ago, Wade made just kind of a mention that people do this. They do the Camino for a lot of different reasons. In your experience, what are
Hmm.
some of those reasons that people would decide to do this
Yeah.
to their feet? Why would they do this?
To their feet and their bodies. Oh gosh, I've had people come to the Camino when they're celebrating things. I've had people like at birthdays, big birthdays. I've had people come to the Camino often for grief, like they're grieving the loss of maybe a person that they loved, a relationship. So it could be, grief from death, grief from something shifting, loss of a job. Maybe they're in
Hmm.
between. Similar, and in no way didn't lose his ministry job, but like he was in transition. So I've seen a lot of people come to the Camino because they're in some kind of transition and they want to have some spaciousness to kind of sit with that. Well, what does this transition mean for the next chapter of their lives? Trying to think. Sometimes people come to the Camino like they've had, knee replacements. I have somebody who has previously walked with me and is going to walk again this fall, and they had two knee replacements, and they're like, I'm training, I'm going to do this. And they did it. Like they paced themselves, they listened to their body. So sometimes it's about they've recovered from a surgery that was maybe debilitating or keeping them from doing what they wanted to do before, and they
I see.
come to see if they can, complete this and really pay attention. So lots and lots and lots of reasons why people
So,
would come and walk the Camino.
so I want to ask Wade, this is your fourth walk?
Yeah, it's my fourth walk. I have to say that there is a sense in which this is, I don't want to say my first one, but this is a very different experience.
Okay.
Because some of it's because it's so long, right?
Yeah.
And some of it's because almost, I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm not terribly organized. Um, and what I have sort of stumbled into for this particular Camino, really starting last about a year ago. About a year ago, I made the decision. But I have really been doing some intentional preparation um, with my inner life, and I don't know about one of the things that I've always thought was romantic was to be a serial journaler, right? And oftentimes when I start to journal, I'll get 4 or 5 days, maybe a week or two in, and then it's like, well, oh, forget that. Or I'll miss a few days, and then pretty soon you're not doing it. And I've been journaling a lot. I've been doing a lot of writing, a lot of.
You started
Uh,
the Substack, didn't you?
I did start a Substack, and I've and I, the way I experienced that is, Tom, I used AI to put together 60 daily prompts for me to write about, and I'm on day 39 today, and I haven't missed a day, and I'm writing, and the thing that I have said to people who ask me about it was I can't stop writing. And a lot of it's a lot of you guys know that I'm in recovery, and I've done a lot of work over the years, but over this last year, partially in preparation for this Camino, but partially just because there was some deep interpersonal work that I needed to do.
Mm.
And so I've been involved with that for about the last 7 or 8 months, and I that is has all been preparation for this. So I don't know what I'm going to find out there, but I know that I'm ready, and I've never been very committed to exercise or writing. For myself, I know how to write a sermon every week, of course, but and it's really just been kind of I feel like I've been on the Camino, this particular Camino, for close to a year.
Wow.
And there's a saying that you hear sometimes. There's several different ones that are similar to this, but your Camino begins when you decide. And so it's not just the act of getting to Spain and walking; it's the act of preparing yourself to be open to really the unknown, and you're in a place where there's not a lot of distraction. You meet people from all over the world. Sometimes you see them for an hour one day, and they make an impact on your life forever. And sometimes, we've met people from all over the world that we still stay in touch with, and we I think Jeana would agree that you make intimate friends that you may never actually see again,
Mm.
but they're
Yeah.
important, and you stay in contact with them, and it's a beautiful thing.
So,
Um,
so Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Go
So I
ahead.
was going to say, I wanted to make a comment based on, journaling. Journaling is something I've pretty much done on a daily basis. I started my journaling this morning, and it's based on specifically my prompt every day is the Gospels. I'm reading through the Gospels, and sometimes I linger for days, maybe even a couple of weeks on just one short passage, and that's been helpful. But what's happening right now for me is I'm getting back into not only journaling but publishing. That's what I'm doing on my I guess my website. I'm not going to call it a blog. I'm actually getting back into the habit of writing for the purpose of publishing, and that's definitely different. But the other thing I want that those are the observations, the personal observations. Journaling and exercise have generally not been a problem for me, especially in South Texas. As long as it's sunny, which it's not today, as long as it's sunny and warm, I'm going to do something. But coming back, I wanted to you've this is your fourth journey, and and there is a reason you have made each one. Has that reason been different each and every time, or is it kind of the same reason, just I'm not going to say recycled, but kind of tweaked?
I think I think for me, every time's been a little bit different. The first time I went, I was processing a lot of grief about. You guys know I got divorced in 2020, or I started in 2019, and it was complete in 2021. And so uh, I had a lot of grief around that, and and being a church person for as long as we have, there is pain and grief that needs to be processed in that as well.
Oh
I
yeah.
would say that the other two, I don't know that I ventured out on those two with as intentional of a purpose, but I found that purpose both times. And I really, because I was on these groups with Jeana and I'd had some experience, I found that my purpose there was to just kind of assist other people with different kinds of things. Some of it was physical, some of it was, conversation, some of it was encouragement. But I knew that this one that I'm about to do was the thing that was in the future, and all of those three for me were preparation for this. And so I would say I didn't do a lot of writing before the other three. And I'm grateful that I not only that I'm writing now, but that I'm not just enjoying it. It's deeper than that. Um, and 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 I more recently, part of when I started writing, I'm like, what do I need to do to get ready? So I
Hmm.
started doing this writing, and I came to a point sometime last week where I wrote down, I'm ready now. I'm ready, and I feel like that's real. And I'm gonna keep writing. I'm gonna try to write. I won't be writing as prolifically while I'm on the Camino, but I'm going to write every day while I'm out there,
Good.
and I've put together prompts for those days too.
Good.
So, Gina, I've got a couple of questions. First of all, age range, youngest who's been on a journey with you, oldest who's been on with a journey with you, and then the other question is, what if I'm on this 10-day journey with you, and by day 4, I realize I can't finish it. What happens then?
Yeah, those are
Good
really good
question.
questions, Tom. So, let's see. The youngest was probably 18, and the oldest person I think I've had is about 73, 74, 75, somewhere in there. This group that I have coming up in June, we have, let's see, I think we have somebody who's past 70. And then I have two 18-year-olds. Two of my nephews are graduating high school, and they're going to be on this June group. So yeah, I'm excited about that. And that's one of the beautiful things is like there's all these different people in different stages of their life too. And so yeah, the groups are pretty diverse age-wise. The college group was less so because most of
Sure.
the college students were like 18 to 23, I believe. But then, we had some sponsors too that were 40s, 50s, 60s. Yeah. But I've met people on the Camino that were walking that were like 85, and they um walking the long route, the whole French route, and they would just take shorter stages. If I have a pilgrim who, let's say they walk 4 days, like you said, and they're like, oh, I can't, I need a rest day. The part of Spain, the region that I lead these groups in, is called Galicia, which is the farthest northwest region of Spain. And it's a very coastal region, but it has fairly decent public transit. And so people can either get on a bus, which is, 1 or 2 euros to ride the bus to the next town, like where we're going to stop for the night. They can take a taxi. It's very easy to go into, a restaurant and a bar restaurant, like a place where you would eat lunch, and just ask for a taxi. And then I give everybody, once we start walking in smaller groups or individually, I give everybody the name of the lodging. It has the phone number, the address, so that people know, okay, here's where we're going. This region also in Galicia, it's probably one of the most well supported parts of the whole Camino as well. And so there are locals that are looking out for the pilgrims. But yeah, there's always a way to move forward if somebody needs a rest day. I let's see, in fall of 24, I had two people on that group, and we got maybe like 3 days out from Santiago, and they just decided they needed a rest day. And so they took a taxi forward together. They sat at the cafe pretty much all day because you can't check in to the lodging until like 2, usually in the afternoon. 1 to 3, let's say that's the check-in window. They just sat there. They had a second breakfast. They had lunch. They drank wine. They chatted with the person who was serving them. And then finally at like 5 o'clock, once everybody else was there, and they were sitting where we would pass them, the guy is like, dinner, was asking if we were going to eat dinner there. And we were like, no. And he's like, you have to go. The man who owned the restaurant. So that was their Camino that day, was this time for fellowship and talking and getting to know each other even better, and just, meeting local Spanish people too. One of them spoke really, really good Spanish, and so they were able to communicate. But even if you don't have a grasp of very much Spanish at all, like you can still communicate. So, but there's always a way to move forward, and that's something I would help the pilgrims with if they needed to move forward.
So, Jeana, I want to give you our last few minutes. Oh, go ahead.
I'm interrupting you a lot today, but I just want to say that
It's
sounds like a great title of a book or message. There's always a way to move forward. All right, now, John, I'll
That
give it back
I'm
to you.
gonna write that down. Yeah.
Yeah. There's always a way to move forward to the end of your podcast if Tom would give me a chance to finish.
He hasn't
Jeana,
changed.
Jeana, I want to give you the last few minutes and kind of take a little turn here, because I'd imagine everybody go do a Camino. There's a lot of good reasons and a lot of benefit, but not everybody would be able to. So I wrote down a question. I'm hoping you can kind of guide us in. If someone never leaves their city, how can they live or walk like a pilgrim there?
Yeah. I think one of the best ways is maybe, even if you live in a small town, like find a place to be out, like at the track at the high school. I know a lot of small towns open their track for people to come and walk. And if you go maybe at a certain time every day, you probably start to encounter some of the same people who are also out there walking. If your town has trails, go to the trails a couple times a week and be present in your community. If you live in Central Texas or South Texas, you can, drive to San Antonio. Even there actually is a portion of the Camino now in San Antonio, which I know that's not necessarily in everybody's hometown, but it's close for people who live in Texas. And there are places all over the country where Camino-like pilgrimages are cropping up. And so you may actually, in your own town or city, you may find a group that likes to walk, that wants to care for trails or parks or something in your particular area. A lot of towns also have labyrinths. I mean, a labyrinth in itself, part of the original purpose of that, and a purpose still today, is for it to be a pilgrimage, like an interior pilgrimage while you're walking, this labyrinth path. And so, go on the World Labyrinth Locator and see if there's one in your area. And that's a great way, because that's accessible. As long as it's a smooth labyrinth, it's accessible to people that can walk, that are on a walker, maybe they're in a wheelchair. So that's something that people can do, even if there are mobility issues. Yeah.
Okay.
I would add one more thing to that you might find interesting, Tom. There's movies and books about the Camino. There's so much fun stuff, but there was a movie called Phil's Camino that was put together a few years ago. And Phil was a guy I think he was in the Pacific Northwest somewhere here in the United States. And he had stage 4 cancer, and he wanted to walk a Camino, but he just couldn't make the trip. So he set up a course in his backyard, and he had a big place. But he set up a course in his backyard, and he would walk every day. However far he walked, he would measure it, and then he would map it on the French route of the Camino. And he walked to the whole 800 kilometers before he passed. And they made a movie about it, and it's really, really great movie. It's called Phil's Camino.
Phil's Camino. All right, I will check that out. That sounds interesting. Okay, we better wrap it up there, because we are running out of time. But that is interesting. I appreciate that, Jeana. Thank you for sharing that information. The next time you go, I hope you go with the blessing, and it's everything it needs to be. Wade, same thing for you.
Thank you.
I don't know. What's the encouragement before you go on a Camino? Good luck.
Buen Camino.
Buen Camino. Okay, very good. Very good. All right, Tom, I'll give you a final word to kind of wrap us up and get us out of here.
Well, I want to thank you, John, for lining up Wade and Jeana. Thank you.
This is what you paid me for, Tom.
Because you knew what you were facing, and you still faced it. Jeana, appreciate the information that you've given us, and it definitely gives me a pause. And I think that's part of the Camino experience, is to allow you a pause and a time to reflect on what has actually happened in the past and what is going to happen in the future. And so, my final word is just simply thank you.
And Wade, if you're on the Camino and a humanoid passes you up, you better write about that. Let us know. Okay.
I definitely will.
Take pictures. Definitely take pictures.
That's right. That's right. Thank you, everyone, for the gift of your time. I appreciate you all. Good to see you all. Glad we all can be here. Thank you all for watching and listening. Hope that's been a good conversation for you. And go on a Camino, build your own Camino, go buy an El Camino, whatever. And we'll be back next week, and we'll figure out what we'll talk about then. But until then, God be with you. Here comes Tom. Maybe. Tom.
Tommy boy.
Ton,
Tommy
ton,
boy.
ton, ton, ton.